Peace and blessings, soul family. I love you all. I hope everyone's doing well today. We finally finished the um, Sri Saundaya Lahari that we were reading just recently. And so I was actually wanting to go and just read one small chapter out of Tattwa Shuddhi by Swami Satchisangananda. Um, we're just going to be reading some out of the 15th chapter, practicing Tattwa Shuddhi Sadhana. All right. The ideal way to begin Tattva Shuddhi sadhana, as stated in the Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, is to make a sankalpa, or resolve, under the auspices of a guru to do this practice for a specified number of days. And that sankalpa is like setting an intention that and a resolve that you're going to um, do what you said you were going to do, and you need to follow through with it if you set a sankalpa intention. It is said that the sankalpa can be made for 12, 6, or 3 years, or 1 year, 6 months, 12, 6, 3, or at least 1 day. The duration you should choose to do it for should be on the basis of your own ability, willpower, and mental resolve to fulfill the sankalpa. Once it is made, a sankalpa should never be broken, so the decision should be given a great deal of thought prior to starting. The practice can be started at any time of the year. However, for more effective results, it is advisable to begin during Shravan, between July and August, or Ashwin, October. Ashwin is a special month for Devi worship, and the practice is especially auspicious during this period. The first important factor that an aspirant has to pay heed to is his diet. During any prolonged meditation, diet is very important for several reasons. First, the catabolic, metabolic, and anabolic rates of the body undergo a change, and therefore the food has to be adjusted accordingly. Heavy food becomes difficult to digest and interferes with the sensitivity and receptivity of higher energy vibrations. Heavy meals tend to make both the body and mind sluggish. Therefore, the diet has to be regulated according to the intensity of the practice. If the practice is done as an intense sadhana for a few days, then the diet should consist of only fruits and milk or yogurt, taken once a day. No condiments such as salt or spice or beverages should be included in the diet, as they have a stimulating effect on the digestive system, which can create hyperacidity and increase the metabolic and heart rate. In order to avoid the pangs of hunger and the general feeling of weakness and lethargy, one should become accustomed to light meals of fruit, milk, and boiled vegetables a few days prior to the practice. In this way, the stomach will be prepared and easily adjust itself to a regulated diet during the period of practice. In the case of Tattva Shuddhi sadhana, as a daily discipline after your Hatha yoga, Kriya yoga, or Kundalini yoga practices, or even as a daily puja or ritual, it is not possible to maintain such strict and stringent rules about diet in the view of pressures of work and family situations. In such instances, one may maintain the sadhana under the conditions most suitable. The aspirant who wishes to do this practice need not be alarmed at the idea of such frugal diet. In fact, we have to understand that it is prana which feeds the whole body with energy and nourishment. It is only prana that we live, breathe, and move. A person who is low in prana cannot maintain good health, even if he has the most nutritious diet recommended by the best doctors. Without prana, he will not even be able to digest or assimilate food. Therefore, a few days of fruit and milk cannot affect him adversely. Rather, it will do him good. Through Tattva Shuddhi, one is increasing the level of prana and channeling it throughout the body. In fact, if done correctly, the aspirant may even gain weight in spite of fasting. In the final analysis, it is not how much you eat, but how much your body can assimilate that is important. When the pranic systems in the body are revitalized, the processes of assimilation and digestion are spontaneously corrected and recharged. In the Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, it is emphasized that the head should be shaved prior to this practice. The reason for this being that during intense practices of meditation, the heat in the body increases and needs a proper channel for release. If the hair is long, it obstructs the escape of the heat and gives rise to skin eruptions, or it will overheat some other part of the body system. Shaving the head may not be possible for everyone, but those who do not shave or who do not face any restriction should try to do so. It is also a good practice to wear an unstitched cloth during the time of sadhana, such as worn by sannyasis. This cloth can be pure white, geru, or ochre. These colors have been known to have a deep influence on the unconscious levels of the mind, and you will discover yourself that they create a positive atmosphere for spiritual experience. An unstitched cloth is symbolic of vairagya, or dispassion, which has been declared by saints and sages as a necessary state of mind for higher spiritual experience. Even the greatest exponent of Raja Yoga, Sage Patanjali, has clearly enumerated in his Yoga Sutras that vairagya is one of the basic tenets through which the mind can attain one-pointedness. Therefore, it is necessary to develop the sublime notion of vairagya to all external as well as internal attitudes, if not at all times, at least during the hours of sadhana. Those of you who wish to inculcate during the hours of sadhana, those of you who wish to inculcate this feeling during the time of sadhana should experiment by wearing the prescribed cloth. Although many of the disciplines which are enumerated here may seem absurd, and the reader may regard them as unnecessary external rituals, it is worthwhile to try them out for yourself before dismissing them so lightly. External rites and rituals have a deeper influence on us than we can imagine or accept. They influence the realm of the mind that we are trying to reach through sadhana, and as those realms are beyond logic, it is hard to define the exact effect they will produce. So, for the time being, let us say that these disciplines influence the spiritual samskaras in us to flower and unfold within. Moreover, as a sadhaka, in search of an inner experience, it is imperative that you should try and discard all the mental conditioning that has been inflicted on you by society. Society has brainwashed you to live, eat, sleep, dress, and think in a particular manner, but it has never occurred to you that these conditionings act against your spiritual growth, as they are a condition of all raga and dvesha, which are attachments, likes, and dislikes, aversions, and like attraction. Traditional stipulations. Traditionally, Tattwa Shuddhi should be practiced 3 times a day during the hours of Brahma Muhurti, which is 4 to 6 a.m., at midday, and at Sandhya or dusk. Prior to each practice, you should bathe and clean yourself thoroughly. You should select a quiet place for the practice, preferably a room which is not subject to intrusion. The room should be kept simple and bare, and before each session, you should clean it thoroughly. The items required for the practice are a comfortable mat, oil lamp, incense or sandal, flowers, and an offering of food, sweetmeats, preferably something you have prepared, and a bowl of water for the application of bhasma. The bhasma should be prepared beforehand and kept in a jar. On the appointed day, you should wake up early, bathe, and sit down for the practice, facing towards the north or east. Before beginning the practice, you should light the oil lamp and incense and mentally repeat your sankalpa. After this, you can begin the practice and continue it in this manner 3 times a day for an appointed number of days. On the last day, you should practice mauna, silence, and after the last session at dusk, sit down for a special meditation on the formless reality. Tattwa Shuddhi is a regular meditational practice. Tattwa Shuddhi can be practiced in 2 ways, either as an intensive sadhana for a fixed number of days, at least once a year, or as a daily discipline along with Hatha Yoga, Kriya Yoga, or any form of tantric meditation. For those who are still searching for a way to meditate, this could be an ideal way to begin because Tattwa Shuddhi is a bridge between the exoteric and esoteric practices of Tantra and Yoga. The stipulations of fasting, diet, and so on need to be imposed when it is not practiced as an intense sadhana. It need not be imposed. Then it should be performed only once a day. However, one can use the external rituals of lighting an oil lamp and incense to create a suitable atmosphere at the time of practice. One should also meditate at the same time and place every day. Regular timing is an essential discipline, as it creates a particular biorhythm and an involuntary reflex in the body and brain. Certain timings are more conducive for spiritual practices, and these are mainly between 4 and 6 a.m. and before going to sleep in the evening. This practice can also be undertaken at midnight by those who are adventurous. Tattwa Shuddhi is particularly effective before yantra and mandala meditations. In fact, in Tantra, it is emphasized as a preliminary rite before yantra and mandala puja. Through Tattwa Shuddhi sadhana, the practitioner transcends the mundane awareness, and through the higher forces awakening within him, he invokes power into the yantra and mandala, which then begins to reveal its inherent force. The practice of Tattva Shuddhi should eventually become a part of your daily discipline. as a cleansing process. Just as you bathe and brush your teeth every day as a necessary routine for physical hygiene, Tattwa Shuddhi Sadhana should become a routine procedure for mental, psychic, and spiritual hygiene. Your physical body collects dirt and filth if it is not cleaned every day, and in the same way, the subtler levels of your being accumulate dross in the form of samskaras. If they are not taken care of, they will affect the entire structure of your life. The subtle elements of your body and mind have to be overhauled just as you overhaul your car. Only after this process of purification is perfected can sthiti, or illumination, become possible. Guidelines for intensive sadhana. The mental attitude during any prolonged sadhana is of paramount importance. During intensive sadhana, the perception becomes very sensitive and one develops extreme clarity of mind and tremendous psychic power. This force has to be used correctly and creatively. If you're not careful about this, the same power can become a negative force, destroying the strengths and experiences you've built up through your sadhana. During the practice, strong emotions may arise, disturbing thoughts can torment you, minor incidents can upset or irritate you, but you should have strength and zeal to remain undisturbed by them. Tell yourself that at least during the period of sankalpa, you will remain the balance by not allowing events to affect you. Try to remain a witness, or sakshi, observing each and every moment of your day. Mentally detach yourself and know what is taking place in your mind instead of being involved in the gamut of emotions, feelings, and frustrations which attack your mental stability through a direct onslaught. It is only when you achieve the act of witnessing that the process of purging the samskaras begin and the energy force of the emotions are channeled creatively and arouse inner experience. Mauna is also a helpful practice to inculcate during intensive sadhana. Just as fasting cleanses the physical body, so mauna purifies the mind. Unnecessary chatter and gossip externalizes the mind, and the inner experience can be lost, but through mauna, you intensify inner awareness. You travel within and witness the subtle workings within the body, mind, and psyche. Therefore, the practitioner is advised to select at least one day for the observance of mauna. The observance of mauna, fasting, and intense sadhana does not imply that you should become inactive. On the contrary, you should make it a point to do some work, retiring to the rest only if you are absolutely necessary. In fact, while performing Tattwa Shuddhi as an intensive sadhana, you should not stay idle either physically or mentally, but go about your household chores as usual, trying to do a little more than normal. This helps to keep the mind engaged, thus avoiding all unnecessary thoughts which disturb the mental equilibrium. It also does not mean that you should stop your previous sadhana. If you're practicing Hatha Yoga, Kriya Yoga, or any other sadhana, you should continue these practices. You will derive greater results by incorporating both sadhanas. The hours of sleeping also have to be regulated. A minimum of 5 hours and a maximum of 7 hours is advisable during the intense practice of Tattva Shuddhi. Sleep is one of the first obstacles in yoga because as the mind becomes introvert, the first byproduct is relaxation, and this induces a momentary dullness and sleep ensues. In fact, sometimes it becomes difficult to stay awake. Halfway through the practice, you find yourself dropping off to sleep. This is one of the reasons why you bathe, preferably cold shower, before the practice is necessary. However, if you find that you still cannot keep awake, stop your practice, splash your face with cold water, and continue the practice, or even start again if the concentration is disturbed. Intellect, an obstacle in sadhana. It has been stated time and again in all the textbooks on Tantra and Yoga that an aspirant should try to eliminate all intellectual barriers in respect to his spiritual sadhana. As long as you approach your sadhana through an intellectual process of logic and reasoning, your experiences will remain static. The level of mind that you are trying to reach is beyond the entanglements of intellectual bantering. Questions such as, why am I doing this sadhana? What do these visions mean? Am I making any progress? Where are all these experiences coming from? Where will all this lead me? Are bound to arise in every person. However, these and other intellectual acrobatics have to be avoided. Use your intellect for your worldly day-to-day life by all means, because it is necessary and serves a purpose. However, in sadhana, this same faculty becomes a hindrance and it is an obstacle. This is why Sri Aurobindo has said, intellect was the helper, intellect is the barrier, transcend intellect. This should be the motto of all sadhakas. Intellect is all right up to a point. It is through discrimination of your intellect that you begin the practices of yoga. However, in order to go higher, you will now have to step over it. This may not be possible all the time, but should be maintained at all costs during the period of intense sadhana. Faith, love, and devotion are the means through which the higher experiences begin to manifest, because these qualities absorb and nullify the cold and calculated reasoning of the intellect. Therefore, let us approach this sadhana not through the severity of the intellect, but through the transforming emotions of bhakti. In the Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, Devi says that jnana and bhakti are the two pathways that lead to her. Try not to hinder your progress by the process of analysis. Drop these tendencies, which exist in every ordinary person, and try to enter the realm of pure experience by elevating the awareness beyond the barriers of intellect through bhakti and devotion. Okay, I think I'm gonna actually make the practice itself video separate since this is such a long video. But I'm gonna go ahead and show this picture so you can see where each of the Panchamahabhut elements are superimposed on the body. I love you guys. I hope everyone has a wonderful day today. I'll probably try to get the actual practice in just a minute. I love you guys. Peace.